Hey there everyone, it's Michael. During this video, I'll talk about my experience taking Piracetam, as I've now been using this nootropic for about 10 years, and it is incredible. I'll go over the benefits, I'll talk about my experience taking it, and I'll let you know some of the side effects and specifically how to take Piracetam, because I feel like it's a very misunderstood nootropic. And then stay tuned to the end of the video where I will rate Piracetam out of 10. And if you're new to the channel, then consider subscribing. I talk supplements that are specifically going to help with cognitive enhancement so you can be the best version of yourself. So what is Piracetam? It's a nootropic, meaning it's going to help specifically with cognition. It will help to boost your brain function. So the way that I first came across Piracetam was I was very interested in this whole field of nootropics. Like, it just amazed me that I could take a supplement and suddenly be smarter. So I came into taking Piracetam with really high expectations that it would do something magical. It didn't do all that, yet I've learned to love Piracetam because it makes me just a little bit smarter, just a little bit sharper. Yet at the same time, it doesn't change my personality. Whereas some supplements I take and I feel like sharper, but I also feel like I can't socialize with people like I typically can. So Piracetam it kind of makes you better in a lot of different ways. Yet, I must admit, I didn't really notice the Piracetam working for the first few weeks that I took it. So I took it for 2 months consistently. I was a student at the time, and then after a couple of months, I could definitely tell that my memory was a lot better. And I had this different ability that I wasn't used to having, in that I could focus on the short-term tasks, like my daily activities, yet I was still able to plan for months ahead, very effectively. I have this clear-mindedness that I didn't have. And one thing that makes it really unique is it improves motivation so significantly to other nootropics. All the herbal adaptogen nootropics like ashwagandha, bacopa, rhodiola rosea, sure, they're really good at fighting fatigue and helping you be in a state of less stress. But when it comes to taking something that will actually improve your motivation to make you want to go out there and reach for a goal in the first place, trust that Piracetam, it really works. You may not notice being more alert or more stimulated necessarily because it's not like caffeine. It's very subtle. But trust that if you have some sort of objective way of measuring your results, whether you're a student or if you're in sales, for example, myself, I sell residential real estate. I'm paying a lot of attention to the numbers, and I can't ignore the fact that during months when I'm taking Piracetam, my income is a lot better. And times when I stop taking Piracetam, then my income suffers. So this is a nootropic which I'm going to be taking, I think, long term, because now I'm taking it probably 330 days of the year. And it's been years now. I've not really had anything bad happen to me. I don't experience brain fog like some people do. So come to think of the benefits, like better memory, better mental energy. You're able to have an increased work ethic. Your verbal fluency is better. You feel more confident when you're having conversations with people. And with learning specifically, I feel like I'm a much faster learner when I'm taking Piracetam. It doesn't matter if I'm talking about trying to memorize a book or even just recalling a conversation from the other day. Piracetam makes you much better specifically at that. One of the biggest critiques to Piracetam is the fact that there aren't a lot of studies that suggest it is useful as a cognitive enhancer for healthy individuals. But clearly, there's research showing that Piracetam is really useful if you maybe have had a brain injury in the past, or maybe you're somebody experiencing some sort of sign of dementia. But can it really help somebody in their 20s or 30s, somebody who's already performing well, and help them get just a little bit better? Unfortunately, the answer, it really depends, because with Piracetam and the other racetam, so oxiracetam or aniracetam, unfortunately, the effects are so variable between people. You have people that really like the racetams and they notice them working, and then you have people that really don't find any benefit whatsoever. And then, of course, there's this select few that actually feel worse when they're taking a piracetam or some of the other racetams. So it was a little bit hard to notice if it was working, which is why it's really good to have objective measures, or if anything, take piracetam maybe for a month and then ask some of your closest peers or friends and family, am I acting a little bit differently? Do I seem smarter in some sort of way? And then you can get sort of a subjective and objective idea of whether or not you should continue on taking Piracetam. But like I mentioned, I really like the fact that I haven't noticed any side effects. After using and trying so many different nootropics, a general principle I've found is the stronger the effects, the stronger the side effects are. So think of Piracetam as probably not that strong, but not a lot of side effects. And this makes for a great foundational nootropic. It goes well with other nootropic stacks. In most cases, you'll find that it's pretty safe. A lot of people ask, can you mix Piracetam with this? Can you mix Piracetam with that? In a lot of cases, it's okay. Of course, that's a question more likely suitable for your general practitioner. But I haven't noticed any bad interactions when I mix Piracetam with anything else. As a matter of fact, it seems that when I mix piracetam with the other racetams, all the other racetams become more effective. Like there's this nice synergistic effect. Like aniracetam is something specifically used for social anxiety and verbal fluency, and I notice when I take piracetam along with aniracetam, I feel the aniracetam working more effectively than if it was such that I wasn't taking the piracetam. But I want to spend some time talking about how to take it, because this is where piracetam is really misunderstood and probably not taken properly, and then individuals go on piracetam and just give up on it. So the way that you need to be taking piracetam is with a choline source. Choline is a nutrient that's found in egg yolks. Otherwise, it's pretty difficult to find in your diet, so most people do supplement with taking choline. My favorite way of supplementing with choline is taking the form called alpha GPC, which I've talked about in this video over here. Alpha GPC, choline, it's pretty much like energy for the brain. The more work you do, the more mentally exhausting it becomes, and the more important it is for you to replenish your choline stores. So take choline along with your piracetam. A good way to start with piracetam is taking 800 milligrams twice per day. You can even go up to 3 times per day if you choose to, maybe if you work very long hours. And then after a couple of weeks, you should start to see the benefits. What that looks like in practice is taking 800 milligrams of piracetam with 200 milligrams of alpha GPC twice per day. And it doesn't really matter too much when in the day you take it. You can take it with a meal, you can take it without a meal, doesn't really matter, because it has cumulative benefits. So it will kind of build up in your system after a couple of weeks time, and then you'll start to notice the benefits every single day as far as feeling sharper, feeling smarter, and having that improved work ethic. 200 milligrams of alpha GPC is what works for me, but alpha GPC is a little bit tricky. You need to find the dose that works for you. I've done a lot of research on piracetam, and it seems like for 90% of people, they only notice piracetam working when they're taking it along with the choline source. There's only 10% of people that say that piracetam still works without choline, so consider piracetam to be a waste of money if you're not taking it along with the choline source. But even if I wasn't taking piracetam, I would still be using choline, because choline, it's like mental energy. I find that when I'm supplementing with choline on a consistent day-to-day basis, that in the later portion of the day, I'm not generally as fatigued or tired as I typically am. So it's really good for overall work ethic and makes, again, for a good like foundational cognitive enhancing supplement. So I would really recommend looking into alpha GPC specifically. That's been my favorite over the years. I did try CDP choline. I didn't notice as much of a benefit, and choline bitartrate, I really didn't notice much. And if you're somebody that considers himself to be a stimulant junkie, you probably won't notice piracetam working. Let's face it, if you're ingesting 5 or 6 cups of coffee every single day, you're dealing with constant spikes of your energy and then crashes in your energy. And when that happens, it will mask the effects of piracetam. It will make it such that your caffeine is going to overpower piracetam. So that's something to be mindful of. I'm only using caffeine typically once in the day pre-workout, which is why I noticed the benefits from taking piracetam. And I went a full year without piracetam back a few years ago, and I can say it wasn't the best year, and it's not even really like I reset my tolerance to some extent. Piracetam is not a nootropic that needs cycling off too frequently. I think you're okay by doing something like taking 3 months on followed by a couple weeks off and then repeating that. It's not something where you would want to take like 5 days on followed by 2 days off, like weekdays on and weekends off, because you need to give it some time to build up in your system, even after a couple of weeks. So be patient with it and make sure that you're involved in some sort of really intense work, because that's the time when you'll really notice piracetam working. If you are the impatient type like myself and you really want to notice the benefits of piracetam quicker than 2 weeks, then something you may want to consider doing is trying something called an attack dose, where you take more piracetam at the beginning stage specifically so it gets saturated in your system, kind of similar to creatine loading. So the way that I would do that is by taking 1 to 1.5 grams of piracetam along with 200 milligrams of alpha GPC 3 times per day, and it'll be such that you should probably notice it working within a couple of weeks, and then afterwards you would go back to the dosage that I mentioned earlier. So the attack dose is really going to help to speed up the process a little bit, and you probably won't notice any bad side effects from doing that if you respond okay to the normal 800 milligram dose. So with every nootropic, I really recommend for the first few days that you're using it, start off with a very low dose, as small as you're comfortable with, because you want to make sure that your body is not having a negative interaction to it and it's not keeping you up at night. Otherwise, if you were to ask about the side effects, some of the most common ones include brain fog, restlessness, and insomnia. With respect to brain fog and feeling fatigued, it's probably because you're not taking it along with choline. If you have choline, then you should be okay that way. Irritability is pretty common, so don't be surprised that piracetam will make you so focused on your work that having conversations outside of work may just frustrate you. You'll find yourself sometimes being impatient with people. A nice little hack around that is to add more fats to your diet. I really like saturated fats and healthy fats specifically for that purpose. They really help when it comes to reducing general irritability that you experience during the course of the day. And with respect to insomnia, if you are one of the few individuals that take piracetam and notice it keeping you up at night, then I would really recommend that you take it earlier in the day, because there are a few select individuals that actually do feel stimulated when they take piracetam, and that's good, meaning you're pretty sensitive to it and you'll notice the benefits. So the earlier in the day you take it, even if you're taking it twice a day, something like once maybe at 9 o'clock, once again at 2 o'clock, then it should be likely that it wouldn't affect your sleep negatively, and make sure that you're getting that recharging and rejuvenating sleep. And I really hope this video was helpful. If you'd like to learn more about the other racetams, I've talked about them in this video. I will link right here. I would rate piracetam a solid 8 out of 10 as a nootropic, but if you'd like to learn about a nootropic, which I'd rate higher than 8 out of 10, it would be Noopept, which I've talked about in this video over here. So be sure to give that a watch. Consider subscribing if you got value from this video. I really appreciate it. And thank you, as always, for your interest in nootropics, and I'll look forward to seeing you all next time.